Welcome back to the BookCast. Today we are unpacking every layer of the incredible novel Vanity Fair.
That's right.
Get ready for a deep dive into its characters, themes, and the hidden meanings behind the story.
Such a rich text.
Our mission today is to truly understand this vibrant, kind of chaotic world created by William Makepeace Thackeray and discover what it still has to say to us.
Indeed. And it's a world that, despite being set way back in the early 19th century, around the Napoleonic Wars, the Regency era in England, it just resonates with these timeless observations about human nature. Thackeray, with his really keen, often sharply cynical eye, gives us this huge panoramic view of a society constantly striving for something. Could be wealth, status, maybe just fleeting affection.
Yeah, the title itself, Vanity Fair, right? Taken from Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress.
Exactly. It immediately signals this, marketplace where everything is transient, where people are just caught up in this relentless pursuit of, empty pleasures and societal validation.
And what a marketplace it is. It's bustling, chaotic. We'll explore how this world really shapes the destinies of our central characters. So let's maybe kick off with a moment that just dramatically alters the course for so many of them. The Battle of Waterloo.
Oh, Waterloo, huge.
The news reaching England, as the novel describes it so vividly. It was this incredible mix, wasn't it? Yeah. Glorious triumph, but also this profound fear.
Totally. You can almost feel the anxiety.
Imagine this scene. The Gazette, first publishing the results Quatre Bras and Waterloo in all of England, is thrilling with this strange, almost contradictory mix of joy for the victory and dread for the cost.
And then come the lists.
Then, as always, came the lists. The stark, somber lists of the wounded and, tragically, the slain. And here's where it gets really interesting for our story. The fate of George Osborne Jr. He falls at the Battle of Waterloo. June 18, 1815. He's only 28 years old.
And George's death isn't just, a historical footnote in the book. It's a massive turning point for multiple characters. What's particularly striking, I think, is the irony Thackeray builds around his monument.
Oh, the inscription. Yeah.
Right, the inscription. Sacred to the memory of George Osborne, Jr., Esquire, late a captain in His Majesty's Rough Regiment of Foot, who fell on the 18th of June, 1815. Duce et decorum est pro patria mori.
Which means?
It is sweet and fitting to die for one's country. It's meant to glorify sacrifice, obviously. But in Thackeray's hands, it becomes this searing indictment of those romanticized ideals of wartime heroism.
Was George really a hero? I mean, based on what we knew of him?
Exactly. Was he a patriot or just a casualty? Yes. Casualty of the war, sure, but also maybe of his own, youthful mistakes and vanity. Thackeray seems to suggest that society loves to construct these grand, noble narratives that kind of conveniently cover up the messy, often not so heroic realities of individual lives, especially in the fair where appearances are just everything.
It's such a powerful distinction, isn't it? This idealized image versus the reality of a character who, let's be honest, seemed more concerned with his own pleasure than real duty.
Definitely.
And for his father, the proud, really stubborn Mr. Osborne Sr., who'd already disowned George for marrying Amelia, the news of his son's death is just devastating. It's almost like a karmic blow.
Thackeray describes it as a terror striking him, like he felt he was the author of the doom which he had called down on his son. It's heavy.
He travels to Brussels, which is painted as this vast military hospital, almost a landscape of suffering, to visit the battlefield. But even that pain, it doesn't bring immediate change or softening, does it?
Not at all. When he sees Amelia there with Dobbin, his immediate reaction isn't pity, it's just outright hatred.
He blames her.
He blames her for his son's tumbled hopes and all his pride. It just highlights the immense depth of his stubbornness and his, frankly, severely misdirected anger.
Wow. It's amazing how pride can just blind people, even in grief.
It's a prime example, isn't it? Blinding individuals to their own part in things, preventing connection even when facing tragedy. But amidst all this bitterness, we have Major Dobbin.
Dobbin. Good old Dobbin.
Ever the loyal friend. He plays this crucial, though quiet, role. He delivers George's farewell letter to his father. And this letter, it's a really powerful moment of retrospective characterization for George.
Because up till then, George was mostly just frivolous.
Pretty much. Proud, maybe a bit shallow. But in the letter, written right before the battle, George begs his father for good offices for the wife, it might be for the child whom he left behind him.
A moment of responsibility.
And he even admits, with a surprising flash of contrition, that his irregularities and his extravagance had already wasted a large part of his mother's little fortune.
Okay, so there was something more there.
A fleeting glimpse, perhaps, into a more thoughtful, maybe regretful George. It's Thackeray showing layers, even in characters we might have written off as superficial. It makes his sudden end feel, well, more poignant. Hints at potential growth that was just cut short.
Absolutely, it adds that touch of complexity right at the end for him. So then, we turn to Amelia. Her state after George's death is described as utterly pitiable.
She spends that first period in a sorrow so profound and pitiable, her weak and tender heart bleeding, just devastated.
But out of this deep, consuming grief, a new hope sort of emerges, right? The birth of her son, Georgie.
Yes, described simply and beautifully as a child with the eyes of George, like a moment of light, a promise of continuity in all that darkness.
Sort of continuation of George, in a way.
It is, but it's a bittersweet joy. The narrator calls it almost a sort of grief, and her sensibilities are described as so weak and tremulous. This brings up a big question, I think. Is her constant grief noble? A sign of her enduring love? Or does it maybe hinder her from actually moving forward and dealing with the tough realities of her world?
That's interesting. Like, is it loyalty or
Yeah.
something else?
On one hand, yeah, it speaks to this enduring, almost saintly loyalty to her lost love. But on the other, Thackeray seems to imply that such prolonged, idealized grief is almost a form of self-indulgence, a way of avoiding the hard, practical choices needed to survive in Vanity Fair.
So she's stuck in the past.
In a sense, yeah, she lives in this shrine to George, nurturing his image through these solitary night thoughts, teaching Georgie to constantly mention "Dear Papa" in prayers. It's touching, sure, but it creates this kind of emotional stasis. It stops her from fully engaging with the present, with the future.
And maybe stops her from seeing what's right in front of her, like Dobbin.
Exactly. This idealized memory, ironically, becomes a barrier to recognizing the genuine, active devotion of someone like Dobbin. It's a really poignant portrayal of how even virtue, when it's misdirected or maybe excessive, can become a kind of blindness in a world that really demands clear-eyed pragmatism.
That's a fascinating way to put it. Virtue as a potential blind spot. And beyond her own grief in this shrine to George, Amelia does quietly carry out duties for her aging, increasingly frail parents.
The little things.
She plays cribbage with her father on nights he doesn't go to his club, just a small act of comfort. She even sings for him, gently, which apparently always helps him sleep.
And she acts as his scribe, too, right?
Yeah, writing out his numerous memorials, letters, prospectuses, all these grand, probably unrealistic projects. But what truly stands out, and what Amelia seems almost completely blind to, is Major Dobbin's unwavering, silent devotion.
He's always there in the background.
Always. Constantly thinking of her and her son, providing them with discreet but pretty substantial financial support. We hear about him sending her shawls described as worth 50 guineas apiece, which was a lot.
Huge amount back then.
And scarves, picture books, paint boxes, desks for Georgie. He's this constant, reliable, utterly selfless force in her life, a real anchor in their struggles. But she, lost in her grief, just doesn't seem to see the depth of his feelings or his quiet sacrifices.
His quiet generosity is such a stark contrast to the showy displays of wealth and affection you see everywhere else in Vanity Fair. And even though Amelia seems generally timid, she shows this fierce maternal strength sometimes.
Right, like with her mother, Mrs. Sedley.
Exactly. There's that conflict where Mrs. Sedley, who's struggling with her own fallen status and bitterness, tries to give Georgie Daffy's elixir.
Which Amelia calls poison.
Yes! A vivid display of her protective instincts. It's a raw, immediate mother-bear moment. And Mrs. Sedley's biting response, "I've nursed 5 children and buried 3, says I'm a murderess." It just adds this layer of intergenerational conflict and resentment.
Yeah, highlighting her own past sacrifices and current frustrations.
Her bitterness really stems from her own lost comfort and status. It leads to the subtle but constant coolness and secret jealousy between her and Amelia over Georgie, the child who represents both their hopes and their struggles. It really brings out the tension in that small, struggling household where every penny, every decision feels incredibly weighted.
It's striking how Thackeray builds that contrast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Amelia's almost desperate maternal love against her mother's weary, sort of cynical perspective. Okay, so if we connect this to the bigger picture, we need to move from the quiet domestic struggles of the Sedleys to the audacious, glittering, and equally treacherous world of Rebecca and Rawdon.
A sharp pivot.
How do the Crawleys, far away from Waterloo's battlefields, navigate their own kind of warfare in the social circles of Paris?
Well, this is where we see Becky's ingenious, if morally, let's say, flexible methods of living comfortably on nothing a year come into full dazzling bloom.
Right, the famous phrase.
Exactly. And Rawdon, who was once this proud guards officer, he's basically transformed into Mrs. Crawley's husband.
Ouch.
Yeah. His mustachios and the title of colonel on his card are the only relics of his military profession. It's a bit sad, really, a comment on his loss of identity. Becky, though, she's rapidly climbing the social ladder in Paris, a true master of self-reinvention.
She knows how to play the game.
Oh, absolutely. She frequents distinguished houses, gets courted by Englishmen of fashion, always finds a way to make herself indispensable or entertaining. It's just a fascinating, almost breathtaking display of her sharp wit, her social climbing skills, and her utter disregard for conventional morality. She gets that in Vanity Fair, reputation can be manufactured, and charm can open doors that virtue often can't.
And Thackeray's portrayal of her smart and leading position in Paris society is so vivid. She's enjoying the salons of the Faubourg Saint-Germain, the real aristocratic heart of Paris, and the pleasures of the new court, clearly loving her newfound influence, maybe getting a bit drunk on it.
Definitely. But beneath that glittering surface, there are always these hints of darker practices, right? The subtle undercurrents of corruption. Their house gets this unfortunate reputation because of card playing, young officers losing money.
And foul play is hinted at.
Subtly hinted at by envious observers, yeah. It suggests her dazzling social rise isn't entirely clean. Rawdon, meanwhile, gets bored hanging out with duchesses, which kind of shows he's not really cut out for Becky's world. And Becky herself. She mocks the vanity of people like General Tufto, showing her cynical disregard for those she needs to impress, but only in private, of course.
Of course. And this sort of disdain, it extends to her own family, too, doesn't it? Which really highlights that stark contrast with Amelia we were talking about.
Oh, absolutely. We see Becky's casual abandonment of her son, little Rawdon. She just leaves him in a French village with a nurse, hardly ever sees him, barely gives him a thought.
It's chilling.
It is. Such a stark counterpoint to Amelia's almost suffocating maternal devotion. It raises big questions about love and ambition. For Becky, her son is basically an inconvenience, a roadblock to her social climbing. It shows this profound emotional detachment.
And when they leave Paris,
Predictably, they leave a trail of unpaid debts. The hotel landlord is furious, cursing them. Ah, monsieur, ils m'ont affreusement volé. They have robbed me terribly. It's just this pattern of deceit and financial irresponsibility that defines how they live.
that pattern of deceit really sets the stage for their next move, doesn't it? In another dramatic shift. Despite all her social cunning, Becky's life is always precarious, built on debt and misdirection. Then the news comes, Miss Crawley, Rawdon's rich aunt, is dying.
And Rawdon rushes back to London, hoping for a massive inheritance.
This event dramatically shifts the family's fortunes, but definitely not the way Rawdon hoped.
Oh, the disappointment is just crushing. The shock of rage and disappointment when Pitt Crawley, the elder brother, inherits almost everything while Rawdon gets very little. You can feel it.
And this cements Pitt's character.
Totally. As a cunning diplomatist, he's meticulous, calculating in how he handles the estate. Such a contrast to his late father, Sir Pitt Sr., who was notorious for his chaotic finances, always buying and mortgaging, always fighting with his 20 men of business. Pitt represents a different kind of ambition, steady accumulation, shrewd management, not Rawdon's impulsive spending.
That moment of Rawdon's crushed hopes, it's almost palpable. But it reveals a fascinating dynamic, and this is where Rebecca, with her amazing strategic mind, makes her move. What's truly fascinating is how she reacts to this setback.
Yeah, what does she do?
She immediately plans for Lady Jane, Pitt's wife, to be her sponsor in London society.
Yeah, clever. Using the sister-in-law.
Exactly. Despite initial hostility from people like Lady Saltown, who's known for her exciting tracts and trying to give Becky medicines and Mrs. Bute Crawley, Becky manages to cultivate this image of patient suffering, of angelic virtue.
And Lady Southdown's attempts to cure Becky.
They become Becky's ammunition. She hilariously acted the whole scene for her friends later, turning these supposed slights into social comedy. She even convinces Sir Pitt that Mrs. Butte's avarice was behind all the wicked reports against Rebecca, painting herself as this virtuous, long-suffering angel.
It's incredible, her adaptability, her manipulative genius. She reads people and situations perfectly.
Truly is. She's a master of perception management, always playing the part that serves her best, and her ambition just keeps climbing, reaching new, dizzying heights when she captures the attention of the powerful and frankly debauched Lord Stein.
Lord Stein, now things get really dangerous.
And here's where her comment, asking Stein for a dog to keep the wolves off me, becomes just chillingly ironic.
Right. She, the ultimate predator, the wolf herself, asking for protection. It suggests she sees society as this pack of wolves, and she's just looking for the biggest, most dangerous one for her own protection and, advancement.
The layers of irony are just so thick there. Lord Stein is shown as this aged but incredibly powerful marquis, notorious for his past daring and his success at play. His influence is massive.
And his interest in Becky is purely manipulative, isn't it? He sees her as a new diversion, a clever plaything. This relationship just perfectly underscores that theme of patronage and corruption in high society where, as Thackeray Riley notes, the sins of very great personages are looked at indulgently.
Thackeray describes Becky's appearance meticulously. Dazzling white arms and shoulders, her prettiest little foot, captivating everyone, and she even uses an old brocade scrap and a great bargain of lace for her court dress, her costume decor.
Showing her ability to create that illusion of wealth and grandeur from almost nothing. It's all about the show, the spectacle for her.
And the absolute peak of this spectacle is her ultimate social triumph, Becky's presentation at court.
With Lady Jane as her godmother, who'd have thought?
Right. Lady Jane, who unexpectedly came to admire Becky's spirit. This is Becky's paradise, the ultimate validation in Vanity Fair. The first gentleman in Europe, the Prince Regent himself, is mentioned as the one whose high presence gives a certificate of virtue to doubtful ladies. It's like a wholesome ordeal.
Such an astute observation on the hypocrisy of the era. Royal approval can just wash away any stain on a woman's reputation, regardless of her actual merit or virtue.
And the indignation of the other ladies, like Lady Bareacres and Mrs. Bute, who'd previously shunned her. It just highlights the sheer hypocrisy. They embrace her only after she gets that royal stamp of approval.
It's a complete social reversal. And the absolute pinnacle of her social ambition has to be the charade at Gaunt House.
Oh, the performance.
Her dramatic performance is a triumph.
Yeah.
The royal personage declares her perfection. She literally ecrased, crushed all rival charmers. It's a moment of just unparalleled glory for her. Her wit, her performance skills, fully recognized and rewarded by the highest levels of society. She's at the absolute top of her crafted world.
But, as we know, what goes up in Vanity Fair
Often comes crashing down, indeed. Beneath Becky's glittering facade, the cracks inevitably start to show. Rawdon's debts are spiraling out of control, this constant shadow hanging over their extravagant lifestyle.
And then he gets arrested.
Yep, arrested for debt and taken to a sponging house, basically a debtor's prison where you were held until the debt could be paid. And this situation just brutally exposes Becky's true priorities, or rather, her shocking lack of them when it comes to her husband.
This is such a crucial moment for understanding her ultimate selfishness, isn't it? She gets Rawdon's desperate letter begging for money. He needs only 170 pounds, thinking, the deuce is in it if we can't raise that.
Yeah.
He even suggests pawning such of your things that you can spare.
But Becky, she claims she's ill, deliberately delays. She sends this letter back to Rawdon, pretending distress, making up this elaborate story about trying to help. Ill as I was, I instantly called for the carriage. I drove ventre à terre at breakneck speed to Nathan's. I saw him, I wept, I cried, I fell at his odious knees.
Pure performance. Crocodile tears.
Absolutely. Calculated performance, designed to buy herself time and distance from his problem, all while she's off pursuing her own pleasures. And the timing couldn't be worse. Lord Stein, instead of helping Rawdon, sends Becky a note for nearly double the amount she claims she needed for the governess, Briggs, and throws in a dinner invitation.
Wow. Setting up the ultimate betrayal, it shows the true depths of her indifference and Stein's manipulative power.
And that betrayal leads directly to the dramatic climax for Rawdon and Becky. He gets released from prison, surprisingly, through the kindness of his brother Pitt and Lady Jane.
And he rushes home.
rushes home full of dark suspicions, fueled by a note he found from Stein to Becky. What he finds just shatters his world. Thackeray crafts this scene so well. Rawdon finds the drawing room blazing with light. Here's laughter and singing. Here's Lord Stein's hoarse voice shouting, "Brava!"
All the tension.
He confronts Becky, who is in a brilliant full toilet, her arms and all her fingers sparkling with rings, this vision of opulence and deceit, and then the violence. Rawdon tearing the diamond ornament from her breast, flinging it at Lord Stein, cutting his bald forehead. It leaves a lasting scar, a physical mark of moral disgrace that Stein carries literally to his grave.
Rawdon's turmoil must have been immense. Hardly bear to think of what he suspected, but the evidence is right there.
And Becky, terrified, pleads, "Don't kill me, Rawdon." His response, a chilling, savage laugh, just utter despair and rage.
The immediate aftermath is devastating. Becky's moral bankruptcy completely exposed.
Right. Her maid sees everything, retrieves the dropped jewels. Lord Stein leaves, his power now stained by scandal. And Rawdon's bitter realization is profound. All her lies and her schemes, all her selfishness and her wiles, all her wit and genius had come to this bankruptcy. The utter collapse of her carefully built world.
And it's not just them. The Servants' Inquisition gives that stark, ground-level view of her downfall.
Exactly. They discover the scandal, realize they haven't been paid, and openly defy her. The cook and footman say, "He ain't a-comin' back. I don't believe he's no more a colonel than I am." Raggles, the landlord, just laments being ruining me, totally ruined by them. This collective defiance shows her deceit wasn't just in high society, it had real damaging effects on everyone around her.
The scandal spreads like wildfire, of course.
And society, which had loved her charms, turns its back with swift, almost brutal efficiency. As the narrator says, Discovery walks respectfully up to her.
Her attempts to see Sir Pitt are blocked.
Yeah, largely because of Lady Jane, who quite astonished her husband by the spirit which she exhibited in this quarrel and her determination to disown Mrs. Becky. It really highlights Lady Jane's quiet strength and moral compass. Pitt's mind gets poisoned against her by Mr. Wenham's detailed, damning biography of Mrs. Becky. Reputation and gossip just destroy her standing.
A complete social demolition. The swift, merciless judgment of Vanity Fair. Rawdon initially wants to duel Lord Stein, right? Using Captain McMurdo as his second.
He does. But Mr. Wenham, the diplomat, steps in. Concerned about preserving Stein's dignity, he maneuvers to prevent a duel between an old man and a man of your strength.
So a settlement instead.
Yes. Stein essentially buys Rawdon off with an appointment as governor of Coventry Island, effectively exiling him.
And Rawdon accepts?
He accepts. Feeling, Thackeray tells us, a sadder, purer feeling in his heart than perhaps that poor battered fellow had ever known since he himself came out of the nursery. Which suggests maybe a redemption of sorts for Rawdon, a chance to escape Becky's influence, find a more honest if lonely path.
Or just a convenient escape. It's ambiguous.
It is ambiguous. A new life, maybe, but at what cost? Meanwhile, Becky makes her first flight to Boulogne, a common refuge for the disgraced, ironically called a refuge of so much exiled English innocence.
And she tries to rebuild her reputation there.
Tries to, yeah. Even uses a frantic grief about her son to gain sympathy, another calculated performance. But her past follows her like a shadow. The Countess of Southdown writes this scathing letter about her, ensuring she's ostracized in tours too. It shows how deeply her reputation is ruined and how hard it is to truly escape your past in Vanity Fair, where gossip and social judgment are just relentless.
It's fascinating how these two lives, Becky's and Amelia's, run in parallel but are so different. While Becky faced social ruin, forced to flee, always scheming, Amelia continued her quiet struggle, displaying this selflessness that's just such a stark contrast to Becky's calculating ambition.
Giving nearly 3/4 of her meager income to her parents, even when she had so little herself.
This profound self-sacrifice, it often comes at Amelia's own expense, doesn't it? It reveals her deep loyalty, but also maybe this naive virtue that's almost self-destructive in the harsh world of Vanity Fair.
Definitely. Her willingness to sell her India shawl, that cherished gift from Dobbin, no less, and other little treasures to stop her father going to jail, it showcases her deep devotion and quiet endurance. But it brings up that question again. Is her virtue a strength or a profound weakness in this pragmatic world that often punishes such selfless generosity?
There's that heart-wrenching scene where Mrs. Sedley just rails against Amelia's books in Quiet Life when the whole house wants bread.
Yes, and Amelia's silent despair reveals her growing realization that, as Thackeray puts it, Her selfishness was sacrificing the boy, meaning her self-sacrificing love for her father was actually harming Georgie's future. It's a devastating moment of clarity for her, forcing her to face the painful results of her choices.
That's a powerful, difficult realization. And the conflict over Georgie just keeps simmering in that struggling household. That constant coolness and secret jealousy between Mrs. Sedley and Amelia, highlighted by the Daffy's elixir incident where their mothering styles clashed.
hmm And Mrs. Sedley even makes those pointed references to Mrs. Osborne when neighbors ask about Georgie's health, subtly highlighting Amelia's perceived failings and her own resentment.
Yet, through it all, Major Dobbin's continued financial support, managed discreetly by his agents, is what's really keeping the Sedley household afloat. He's the silent, enduring anchor, the lifeline that Amelia, in her preoccupation, almost completely fails to appreciate.
And that leads us nicely to Georgie himself. After years of stubbornly refusing to acknowledge his grandson, old Mr. Osborne finally gives in.
Largely thanks to Dobbin's persistence, right?
Largely due to Dobbin's persistent, patient efforts, yes. Georgie is brought into his grandfather's luxurious mansion in Russell Square. Suddenly, he's the heir apparent of all the splendors there. It's such a dramatic shift, showing how quickly fortunes turn, how external circumstances dictate social standing in Vanity Fair.
It's a profound change in his upbringing. He moves from the loving, maybe slightly stifling influence of his kind, weak, and tender woman of a mother to this environment dictated by paternal pride and wealth.
hmm The grandfather's explicit goal is to make him a gentleman. But there's huge irony there, isn't there?
Yeah, because the boy was arguably already a better gentleman at heart thanks to his mother's loving influence. Kind, sensitive.
Exactly, but his rapid adjustment to wealth is immediate and, frankly, alarming. He quickly adopts this haughty manner and an imperiousness that echoes his late father, George.
And the servants notice it.
Oh, yeah. They remark on his early precocity, saying how he do damn and swear, and declaring, Master George was his pa, every inch of him. It's a stark commentary on how easily the values of Vanity Fair can corrupt even a child.
It's quite sad, really. The contrast between his initial delicate, sensitive, imperious, woman-bred nature and his grandfather's attempts to mold him into this man of status and worldly ambition.
It is striking. He attends Mr. Veal's very genteel school, known for preparing young noblemen and gentlemen. His grandfather's huge wealth is widely reported there, which undoubtedly affects how he's treated.
And his relationship with his two grandfathers.
It's equally telling. He respects the wealthy, powerful Osborne, but utterly despises the prostrate, bankrupt Sedley, just reflecting society's worship of wealth over character.
There's that anecdote about him fighting the little baker boy.
Yes, coming home with a rueful black eye, but bravely claiming he fought a giant, which just amuses his proud grandfather. This little incident shows that Mick's mother's gentleness may be in the rueful eye, but with this growing, proud bravado that his grandfather encourages, shaping him for that world of appearances.
Amidst all these dramatic changes, Major Dobbin remains the quiet, constant force, still carrying on with his long, unrequited love for Amelia. He returns from India.
A man forever shaped by that devotion, carrying the weight of years of unspoken affection. His internal struggles are profound. He's lived this wearisome life of devotion to Amelia, who he feels just can't truly feel for me.
And he has those almost comical encounters like with Glorvina O'Dowd trying to catch him.
Exactly. Her boisterous attempts to ensnare him, and his sister Anne's mistaken belief that Amelia is marrying some reverend gentleman. It just highlights the isolation and almost absurd nature of his singular, unwavering love.
His journey back with Joss Sedley is quite a contrast, too.
Oh, definitely. Joss, with his ponderous dressing apparatus and his shillum for smoking embodying self-indulgence, contrasts so sharply with Dobbin's urgency to see Amelia, his heart just pulling him home.
Was truly emotional, though, a moment that really cuts through, is his reunion with Georgie.
He recognizes the boy immediately, this deep, silent connection already formed. He asks, your mother has talked to you about me, has she?
And then that deeply significant moment with the piano.
Yes. Dobbin finds the old piano he had given Amelia years ago, a gift she believed came from George. Her later, very belated realization that it was his gift, not George's, leads to her faltering voice apology.
It shows Amelia's lingering immaturity, doesn't it? Her long-held illusions about George.
Absolutely. And Dobbin's enduring, almost saintly patience. It speaks volumes about his character and the quiet nature of his devotion, which is finally, maybe, starting to break through Amelia's long-held blindness.
It feels like a small but powerful turning point. A glimmer of her eventual awakening to what real love and fidelity look like.
A critical crack in that idealized memory of George, yeah. Allowing her to see Dobbin, maybe for the first time, not just as a friend, but as the steadfast lover he's always been.
Speaking of turns, Becky's fortunes continue their erratic course across Europe. She's described as a little wanderer, as restless as Ulysses, always seeking new ports, new opportunities, new victims for her charm and cunning.
She continues to live by her wits, often in morally dubious company. It's a testament to her resilience, sure, but also her deepening taste for disrespectability.
This is where she really becomes a bohemian, isn't it?
Completely. Her taste for disrespectability grows more and more remarkable. She hangs out with people who, as the narrator says, would make your hair stand on end to meet. We hear about her concerts, music lessons, trying to make money, a furious row in the theater at Strasbourg, suggesting her disruptive presence.
And associations with dodgy characters.
Keen-looking whiskered men with dirty striped ribbons, dubious Italian countesses. It paints this vivid picture of her descent into the less reputable fringes of European society. What's fascinating here, though, is that unexpected encounter with Lord Stein in Rome.
Right. She sees him again.
Sees his livid face and ghastly eyes, realizes how profoundly changed he is, almost a ghost of his former self. It's this fleeting moment where Becky, maybe for once, isn't calculating. She's just confronted with the grim human cost of their shared past, perhaps a silent acknowledgement of the toll Vanity Fair takes, even on its most powerful players.
And then, in the fictional German town of Pumpernickel, Just Sedley reappears.
Now even plumper, more vain than ever, and he bumps into Becky.
And he's immediately taken in by her.
Completely taken in by her artless and simple tale of woe. It's a masterclass in manipulation from Becky. She convinces him her heart had first learned to beat at his enchanting presence. I know. Her feigned tears, her angelic sweetness. They completely win him over. And he, in his boundless gullibility and vanity, decides he's going to bring her back into society.
Classic Becky. She knows exactly how to play on a man's ego and sentimentality.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Dobbin, predictably, immediately suspicious, deeply disapproving of Becky. He stands in stark contrast to Jose's gullibility. He sees right through her.
Dobbin's clear-sightedness about Becky is one of his defining traits. And it sets up this dramatic clash, doesn't it? Because Amelia,
with her soft and foolish disposition, is easily swayed by Becky's story, especially the bit about the harrowing misfortune of her child being torn from her arms shrieking.
that hits Amelia right where she lives as a mother.
Exactly. That appeal to maternal sympathy blinds her to Becky's true character, tapping into her deepest vulnerabilities.
Yeah, Amelia's inability to abhor wickedness, her gentle nature. It's a major trait, but one that often leads her astray. Her mean-spirited creature aspect, as the narrator calls it, allows her to even forget a mortal injury, or at least overlook it for sympathy.
Which leads directly to her taking Becky into her home, much to Dobbin's utter dismay and despair. It's a decision rooted in compassion, maybe, but one that threatens to destroy everything Dobbin has silently built for her.
The argument between them over Becky's presence is just heartbreaking. It's the culmination of years of unacknowledged devotion.
Amelia, in her most innocent way in the world, just asserts, of course we're going to have her here. Her indignant defense of Becky against Dobbin's unspoken accusations is particularly painful. She interprets his words as an attack on George's sacred memory.
And she gives him that look.
She flings him an angry look, the most unjust and scornful glance that had perhaps ever appeared in that poor little woman's face since she was born. It just highlights her deep-seated, if misguided, loyalty to George's memory, even at the expense of Dobbin, who has left her so faithfully and supported her practically for so long. It is, for Dobbin, the ultimate slap in the face.
And this is where Dobbin just reaches his absolute breaking point.
His heartbreaking realization. The long, laborious edifice of a life of love and constancy is undone by a little word. Amelia's misplaced defense of Becky, her lingering attachment to George's ghost.
And he finally says it.
He declares with profound sadness and conviction words that just echo through the novel. I will bargain no more. I withdraw. I find no fault with you. You are very good-natured and done your best, but you couldn't reach up to the height of the attachment which I bore you. Goodbye, Amelia.
Wow. Such a powerful moment of shattered hope. The end of years of unrequited devotion. It shows that even the most enduring love can just be exhausted by blindness.
His departure is equally poignant. A quiet exit for a quiet hero. He tears up Bucky's note, a final rejection of her manipulative influence, kisses Georgie, his only real solace, and leaves with his head on his breast, refusing to even look up at Amelia's window as he passes. He just can't bear another glance at the woman he loved so fiercely.
And Georgie, left alone in the street after this abrupt farewell, burst out crying in the face of all the crowd.
Such a vivid image of the collateral emotional damage. Innocence caught in the crossfire of adult complexities within Vanity Fair.
But life and death, they continue their relentless march, don't they? Ultimately tying up loose ends, showing how Vanity Fair rewards some, punishes others, often in unexpected ways.
That's right. Old Mr. Osborne Sr. dies. He never fully recovers from a fit after hearing about Rawdon's scandal with Stein. Shows even the most stubborn pride can be mortally wounded.
And old Sedley.
He also passes away after a lingering illness. His final years marked by a quiet, dignified decline, not the grand recovery he once dreamed of. These deaths significantly change Amelia and Georgie's circumstances again, shifting that financial landscape.
Mr. Osborne's will is key here, isn't it? A final act from beyond the grave that kind of rectifies past wrongs and subtly orchestrates the future.
Absolutely. An annuity of £500 chargeable on George's property is left to Amelia, the widow of my beloved son, George Osborne. And she's to resume guardianship of Georgie. Critically, Major Dobbin is appointed executor.
And the will acknowledges Dobbin's help.
Explicitly, the testator acknowledges his kindness and bounty in maintaining my grandson and my son's widow when they were otherwise without means of support. This public acknowledgement of Dobbin's virtue coming from the proud Mr. Osborne is pivotal.
It forces Amelia into a position of respect and independence.
Exactly. It finally allows her to fully recognize Dobbin's true worth, freed from the constraints of her poverty and her idealized past. Her return to Russell Square now sees her social standing suddenly rose in the estimation of the people. Shows how fortune, even late in the day, can restore a reputation.
And her profound regret and realization after Dobbin's departure, made worse by Becky's continued presence and her increasingly cynical, manipulative attempts to reunite them, lead to her becoming nervous, silent, and ill to please.
Becky even coldly tells Amelia something like, I may love him with all my heart now. Oh, I will, if you will but let me and forgive me. A final desperate gambit that just underscores Becky's opportunism, not genuine affection.
But the truth finally sinks in for Amelia. She truly gets the depth of Dobbin's sacrifice and her own blindness, and she summons Dobbin back.
She does. And their final reconciliation is this moment of quiet tenderness, a deeply earned conclusion to a long, hard journey. He presses the dear little soul once more to his heart, forgiving her for her years of unseeing affection.
And he even makes that joke about Glorvina.
Right. A touch of his characteristic self-effacing humor. If you hadn't sent for me, who knows what Glorvina's name might be now? Acknowledging the path not taken, but confirming his unwavering commitment.
Meanwhile, what happens to Joss Sedley?
Joss dies at Aix-la-Chapelle, his property, found to be muddled away in speculations. His life of self-indulgence ultimately led to nothing. Utter futility of his vanity.
And Rawdon Crawley.
Rawdon dies from yellow fever at Coventry Island. But he's most deeply beloved and deplored by those he served there, finding a quiet dignity in exile. His son, now Sir Rawdon Crawley, Bart, provides Becky a liberal allowance that has declined to see his mother. A final, poignant rejection that ensures her ultimate isolation despite her financial security.
And Becky. Her ultimate fate is, well, she becomes wealthy, but she never was Lady Crawley, though she continued so to call herself. A final telling detail about her enduring attachment to titles and appearance.
Her story ends with that image. Virtue rewarded. A booth in Vanity Fair.
It's such a Thackeray ending, isn't it? Deeply ironic, questioning what virtue truly means in a world where wealth often dictates status and acceptance.
It truly is. Which brings us right to the core of Vanity Fair and its enduring themes. The heart of what Thackeray wanted us to think about.
So what does this all mean for us, even today? We've seen ambition, love, sacrifice, deceit, all playing out, often with devastating consequences. What are the core messages Thackeray leaves us with that still feel relevant in our own modern Vanity Fair?
Well, Thackeray's central theme is definitely that relentless pursuit of social status and wealth. The very idea of Vanity Fair itself, a place where everything's transient, often hollow. He critiques the rampant hypocrisy of society, where appearances frequently outweigh genuine virtue, where the superficial often triumphs over the substantial.
We saw that again and again.
Yeah, and we've witnessed that stark contrast between true, enduring love personified by Dobbin's unwavering devotion, and fleeting affections or self-serving relationships like Amelia's idealized love for George or Becky's manipulative affections.
And the subtitle? A novel without a hero.
Exactly. It's a direct challenge to the romantic novels of his time, suggesting that true heroism is rare, maybe even entirely absent, in this world of self-interest and moral compromise.
And despite her clear villainy, Becky is often the most dynamic, the most engaging character, isn't she? She forces us to question societal judgments and the often overlooked role money plays in shaping morality and opportunity.
She's absolutely a product of her environment, and we see repeatedly how wealth, connections, superficial appearances dictate respect and acceptance in this society. Becky's dazzling rise, her dramatic fall, and then Amelia's changed circumstances after inheriting wealth, perfect examples of how fortune dictates fate, often more than character does. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Does money just amplify who you already are, or does it fundamentally change people?
It's a provocative question, and Thackeray, through Becky, makes us consider whether, quote, it was only a question of money and fortune which made the difference between her, Becky, and an honest woman.
It's a challenging thought, suggesting that circumstance, economic necessity might drive many people to morally dubious acts, blurring those lines between vice and virtue. The tragicomic end for so many characters, Joss Sedley's muddled fortune, Rawdon's quiet end in exile, reflects the unpredictable, often ironic nature of life in Vanity Fair.
Justice isn't always poetic.
Not at all. Lessons aren't always learned by those who need them most. And often, the quiet, virtuous people like Dobbin just wait patiently while the selfish and cunning take center stage, at least for a while. It leaves us pondering the true value of what we strive for and what kind of legacy we ultimately leave behind.
So as we close our deep dive into Vanity Fair, maybe consider this. In a world where reputation and appearance can often be bought and sold, where social media offers its own kind of certificate of virtue for doubtful personalities, what truly constitutes a hero or heroine?
A big question.
And perhaps more importantly, when navigating your own Vanity Fair, what values do you choose to carry, and what ultimately do you define as truly rewarding?
Something to think about.
And there you have it. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us and this story. If you enjoyed it, a simple like or subscribe helps the channel out more than you know. Be good and take care.